Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about tall poppy syndrome. Susan, have you heard of tall poppy syndrome?
I hadn't until we decided to talk about it. And when I realized what it was, I was like, wow, this is fascinating. And then when I realized what it really, really was, I was like, wow, that happened to me. And I think this is what's going to be interesting today is hopefully our listeners might actually realize that it's happened to themselves or maybe unawares they've done it to somebody else. So what is it?
What is it?
What is
Tall
it?
poppy syndrome. Here, I have a definition. Tall poppy syndrome is a social dynamic where people criticize, cut down, or resent someone who stands out. So, putting people down for being successful, for doing something really well, regardless of where it is in their lives. Um, and yeah, I'm pretty sure we've all actually done it subconsciously or had it done to us. I
Yeah.
also have had it done to me. That was a personal situation, and I didn't realize what was happening. In retrospect, I wish I'd done something differently. I wish I'd had some understanding, but that's where I was at the time.
Yeah.
Um, but it can be really hurtful. And so I think we need to bring it up so that we're more aware of what we're
What
doing,
it
how our actions can hurt others.
And I think it's the actions and it's the words sometimes that we use. We don't always realize the impact that they can have on others. So when we're talking about the tall poppy syndrome, about it being, the idea is that sometimes also you start isolating somebody. Behavior can be slightly aggressive towards them, making them feel like, hey, you shouldn't be up there when, the rest of us are down here, kind of thing. It's almost like, how dare you be successful?
Yes.
Um, and I
Yes.
think it's like we just said, I think some people may do it unconsciously because security in numbers, right? If we're all at the same level, there's a certain safety to it. And I think, when somebody steps outside of that or beyond that, that's when people, we judge. Unfortunately, we do judge sometimes. And
Yes,
I
it
think
makes
it's
us
just check
uncomfortable,
in.
I think, right? Like if
Pardon?
and maybe we're not conscious of it, but having other people be having successes, like
Mm.
maybe it's jealousy, maybe it's a variety of things, but I think really it's uncomfortable
Yeah.
um, for us to see that. And I love that whole visual of tall poppy syndrome because the word comes from the field of
One
poppies,
copy.
and one poppy rises above the others, and so you cut it down so it's everybody is, same and it looks prettier.
This is
So,
it. And I think the whole thing also reflects that, when you're smaller, you're not seen as much. Right?
yes.
Because let's face it, if you're looking at that field of poppies, the one that you're going to notice is the one that's taller,
Mhm.
right? So I think this is where, it kind of comes back to the words that we use with each other when, if somebody has had something successful and unconsciously we might comment on it or say something, well, you sure that's a good thing to do? Or, is it really worth it? Or it's those
Boy,
are
are you ever lucky?
right.
Right? Which takes away the work that they've put in. Are you ever lucky?
Yeah, this is it. And I think this is it. It's being aware that really you want to support each other, right? I think at the end of the day, that's really what we're looking for. And, those words can be hurtful. Or if somebody is having a small doubt and then they hear that, well, obviously it's going to compound their doubt, right? Whereas if, there's support behind them, then they're going to go ahead and do whatever they're going to do, right? It may work, it may not, but at least they've tried it.
Right. When I was growing up, I often heard, uh, don't be too big for your britches.
I've forgotten about that one. Yes, it is
Yeah,
so true.
yeah. And I think that, many of us have heard that kind of thing in many different ways. So we've had that message of, stay
Oh,
small.
stay within.
So yeah. And so we self-regulate.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's subconscious.
Oh,
And
so
we stay small. So we're not putting ourselves out there. We're not speaking up. We're not doing all of those things for fear of being judged, for being put down. And it's hard. we maybe for some many people, you hear it in your family. That's kind of the message of know your place.
Society also, right? Everybody needs to kind of move forward at the same time and at the same level. And I think, no, we're all slightly different. And I think it is changing now. I
Yes.
think women are standing up for for who they are and doing what they want. You see in sports, you see in all sorts of things, in body types and things like that. I think it's important, right? Because for so long, everything, like you said, has been regulated, right? This is what you need to look like, this is how you need to behave, these are the kind of jobs you need to do. And I think society is slowly, it's going to take time, but it's slowly adapting.
Yes, I agree with that. Because women particularly really struggle with that.
Yeah.
Women are more directly affected by that, by, you know, what a bitch she is, and she's so
Oh my gosh.
bossy and she should be this way. So we really had
How
to
do you react?
struggle.
Yeah. Sorry to think, I was made me think of this thing I saw on social media, and this woman's interviewing men, and she's asking them questions about their professionalism and their career that women have had asked them before. And the men are kind of going, "Oh, I see where you're going with this." So, um, how do you feel, do you feel that your looks have had an impact on, the way that you have kind of gone up the ladder and, sort of questions like that? Or, how would you feel if, you weren't promoted? Do you think it would be because of, your sex, thing? And the men were really surprised by the questions, and they're like, these are never questions I've been asked before.
I've heard about that just
Yeah,
recently. I'd heard about an interview like that, but I hadn't seen it.
it's
It
absolutely
sounds
mind-boggling.
I don't think people even recognize, the messages that they're putting out when they say stuff like that.
Right. And so that's exactly what it is, right? It's like you need the questions being asked are essentially telling women, um, you stay small. You need to stay within your sphere, right? If, like you said, if a woman is more out there in the work environment, can get a bit annoyed, can get a bit, again, immediately she's aggressive, she's a bit, she's this, she's that. Whereas if a man does it, it's perceived very differently,
Very
right?
differently. But to be fair though, that men also, so men are more accepted,
Yes,
be big,
but they
right?
have their own issues.
They have their own issues, right? Because they're really hammered if they're struggling with vulnerability or if they failed at something in the judgment they receive for failing. So women are more judged directly and men are affected more maybe emotionally. So then keep everything really quiet
Yeah.
um, about what's happening emotionally for fear of that judgment.
That is very true. And I think it happens more than we realize, right, for men. I think there's a lot of that going on. If men want to take time out because their kids are sick or their partner's sick, it's like, well, why you do it?
Yeah, huge judgment over that.
Yeah, you should be, you're the strong dude. Like you have to come in, rain or shine. It's like actually he's a person and
Yeah.
a lot
Well,
going
why
on.
isn't your wife staying home for that?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
things like that. And I think what the purpose of us bringing this up is just to bring awareness to what's happening because we all have, I think, our superpowers, right? We
Oh,
all
100%.
something to bring to the table. It doesn't have to be this big thing, but we have all have something.
Yeah.
And if the pervading idea is to kind of stay small, we're losing out on all those gifts that can be brought to the world or to
I
your family or to yourself or whatever it is.
whoever it is and whatever it is. But I think as well, I think our message here is not just, or it isn't that you have to step out. If you want to step out of your comfort zone, that's okay. If you don't want to, that's okay too. But then support others that do. Try not, and this is like the self-checking in, try not to unconsciously put them down, which is hard because I realize I've just contradicted myself saying it's unconscious. But I think it's just, to be more aware of how we are supporting each other. Right. If you're happy in that area, that's great. If other people aren't, then just support them or say nothing, right? Either way.
Awareness. We can't change anything unless we have awareness first. So
Exactly.
awareness of,
Yeah.
are we self-regulating? How is that affecting us? And are we doing it to other people?
Yeah.
Or is it being done to us? And how can we react in a more empowering way, I guess,
Yeah.
way that keeps you still moving forward.
Yeah.
So we hope that you guys learned something from this if you weren't aware of this, and we'd love to hear any of your comments. If you want
Exactly.
to
To
add that.
think of it, right? Just to think about it a little bit, take a few moments and just, if it means that you can support somebody better, if it means you can support yourself better, then we're happy, right?
Absolutely. Perfect. Perfectly said, Susan. We'll end it there. Take care, everyone.
Bye.